UFO in the sky, skinwalkers in the night. Nietzsche look, a scary book, it reads some MooseBumpz. Sasquatches everywhere, little people, a bit of evil, let's read some MooseBumpz. I'm scared of everything. Chupacabras makes you nauseous. Let's read some MooseBumpz with MC Red Cloud.
MooseBumpz, Scary Stories from the Res, presents Animal Skins, based on the Southwest legends of the Skinwalker by the Navajo Nation. The sun descended into the horizon, turning the sky a orangish pink. A gentle breeze wafted across Christine's cheeks as she leaned against her grandmother's 1967 res truck. Her grandmother liked to call it her war pony. A small she-goat sat in the truck bed and it fidgeted nervously. Sharing the same space with her was one of the local drunkards that Christine's grandmother had hired to adjust her fence. She asked Christine to drop him off at the mini-mart and gas station half a mile down the road from the Walmart. Christine's brother Jimmy spent an eternity inside the mini-mart in a mad quest for candy. She wished he'd hurry up. They're supposed to take this nervous goat to their aunt's house to make mutton stew. Perhaps the goat knew her fate. It would explain the fidgeting. Maybe the drunkard laying about made her nervous. He stumbled out of the truck and, almost falling on his face, shook and he sobered up. Christine couldn't blame the man for enjoying a drink or two, maybe 3. Life on the res is kind of hard. Nothing exciting ever happens here. Jimmy ran out of the mini-mart carrying a paper bag full of teeth-rotting candy and soda. His smile stretched across his face. It looked as though someone was pulling his cheeks behind his ears. "Hey, how much for that goat?" the wino asked. "What?" she replied. "The goat! How much do you want for it?" "It's not for sale, dude." She crossed her arms and she stared the man down just to make her point. "Come on, I'll give you He reaches into his pockets, searching for loose change, and he pulls out a crumpled $20 bill. $20, he proclaimed. "Are you kidding me?" Christine had to stop herself from laughing. "Hey, what's going on?" Jimmy asked as he approached. "Nothing, get in," she said. They both entered the truck, closed the door. The goat fidgeted a few more times. "Hey, I remember this kid," yelled the drunk man as he shook his fist and he spat at the truck's rear tires. Christine just laughs. "Hey, remember it. Write it down. I don't care." She turned the key in the ignition to start the V8 engine. It roared to life in idle state. The tires kicked up dirt and gravel right into the face of the Lush as it drove away. He swipes the dust from his eyes and spits out the dirt, watching her as she pulled onto the dirt road and barreled out a gas station parking lot. Soon they were on their way to their Aunt Gloria's. "Hey, that wasn't very nice," Jimmy said. Grandma said to drop him off at the gas station. She didn't say anything about being nice. Besides, he wanted to buy a goat for $20. "That's it?" Jimmy said as his eyes widened in shock. "Yeah, that's it. Ever cheap." Her voice was angry. She wasn't usually this irritated, but nothing excited ever happened on the res. Her boredom must have gotten the best of her. "Hey, turn on the radio," Jimmy said while tearing into a bag of Skittles. Christine reached over and turned on the radio. A song neither of them recognized played. Whatever song it was no match for the loud goat in the back of the war pony. If it hadn't been for the rope securing the goat in the back of the war pony, it would have surely tumbled out of the truck by now. She sounded scared. "Hey, what's wrong with her?" Christine said. Jimmy turned and tried to calm the goat with his voice, but the poor creature was too loud. She was screaming, in fact. Then Jimmy saw it, off in the distance. Two of the most horrible, glowing eyes he'd ever seen. They moved as if who or whatever owned them was running closer, chasing them. "Christine, what's that?" Jimmy pointed nervously. Christine looked into the rearview mirror and saw what her brother and the terrified she-goat had seen. As the creature drew closer, Christine noticed razor-sharp fangs and massive claws. "Punch it!" Jimmy's voice screeched in fear. The goat moved desperately, struggling to get loose from the ropes. Christine slams her foot on the gas pedal, throwing Jimmy into his seat. In a matter of seconds, the truck was going 60 miles an hour, kicking up dust and dirt in all directions. The horrid eyes following them faded further and further away. It looks as though they might have outpaced their pursuer. "What was that thing? Was it a dog?" Jimmy asked. "No, too big to be a dog. It looked like a wolf, but it wasn't quite right." "Christine, I'm scared." Jimmy quivered, crying, his cheeks getting all red and puffy. "Calm down, it's gonna be all right. It's gone now, see?" She softened her voice, hoping it would make her little brother feel better, and it did. "Everything's gonna be okay." The fear had retreated, and the two had finally relaxed a little. Just as they both let their guards down. Bam! The truck shook violently, as if they were struck by an oncoming car. The creature had caught up to them, snarling in the truck bed, shredding the ropes apart that tied the helpless goat. It roared and it moved in its arms across, up and down in the back of the window as if it was riding something on the window. Then it scoops the goat into its claws, and with its powerful hind legs, it launches itself out of the truck bed and onto the dirt road. At that moment, they knew Aunt Gloria's house was out of the question. The entire time, Christine was driving as fast as she could. Her foot was glued to the gas pedal, speeding past the back of her grandmother's house. They didn't even slow down until her home was in view again. As the house appeared, Christine slams on the brakes, the pad screeching in agony. Once the war pony came to a complete stop, both of them leaped out as if they were on fire, and they just ran into the house. "Grandma! Grandma!" they cried in unison. Their grandmother came running out of the kitchen wearing an apron. "What's wrong? Are you two all right?" "A creature stole your goat." "Grandma," Jimmy said. What?" his grandmother asked, just confused. "A creature. It looked like a dog, but it was 3 times as big, and it had glowing eyes, and it ran on its hind legs." The frantic look of concern faded from their grandmother's face, quickly replaced with the calmness that only wisdom could bring. Their grandmother knew the creature of which they spoke. "Animal skin," she whispered ominously. Both Christine and Jimmy stared in disbelief at their grandmother. "Animal skin?" they asked simultaneously. "Well, can you think of a better explanation?" she replied. "The creature you saw, did it have claws and glowing eyes?" their grandmother inquired. Yeah, they responded. Children, an animal skin is an evil person who has sold their soul to darkness. They can transform into any animal, and they trick people and they spy. Sometimes they even kill. To become an animal skin, you must do horrible things, like killing the innocent. We do not speak of them often. To do so might bring evil into our home. By this time, Christine and Jimmy's rapid beating hearts began to normalize. Calmness had taken a hold of them. Go wash up. I'm preparing supper, their grandmother said as she walked back to the kitchen. Before heading back, she stopped. She turned around and said, "Let us never speak of this again." She nodded at them, then retreated back into the kitchen. Suddenly, Christine turned and ran outside. Jimmy followed. Hey, what are you doing? I need to see something. Christine approached the truck bed. It was coated in goat's blood and a shredded rope, its edges frayed. She instantly became sick. She had never seen so much blood before. Hey, look it. Jimmy pointed to the edge of the truck. Christine looked, and what she saw sent chills up her spine. Her heart pounded and her chest felt as if it was going to burst through the shirt. Heat rose from the back of her neck, and for a small window, she was paralyzed, just completely transfixed with horror. At the edge of the truck sat one single, crumpled, bloody $20 bill. And above that, written on the back of the window in blood, were the words, "Thanks for the goat, lady." Christine and Jimmy ran back into their grandmother's house and locked the door behind them. Nothing exciting ever happens on the res. Until today.
Brought to you by the same team that brought you the #1 Amazon new release, Indigenous Legends.
Grandma, tell us the story. Come on.
I'll tell you a story when we get over here and sit down and kind of rest a little bit, okay?
Gather up the kids, add some extra wood to the fire, and prepare yourself for the scariest stories in Native country.
I'm glad that all you kids are here. You know, I'm going to tell you a story. That's how we learned our history, through stories.
Your friends, children, and grandchildren will drop their s'mores, burn their hot dog weenies, and run screaming for the hills when you crack open MooseBumpz, scary stories from the res. Every story has been youth tested and elder approved, but only the bravest can make it through each one. MooseBumpz is here.